Hi, it's Anne from Ann Walsh Quilting with another just quilting video for you. This one is a very large curly feather, and I've just roughly drawn in the lines that I want to follow for the spine, and you can see that I'm not really worrying about whether I'm perfectly hitting the lines or not, because they are just there as a guide for me to remind me where I wanted to put the curves. And you'll see as I go down that one place in particular, I change my mind when I get there and I wrap it around a lot more tightly than what the line is. So when you're doing something like this in a wide open space, don't be afraid to change your mind when you get there. It's not a really big deal. The lines are just for a guide and they do come out. When you're done, I used a chalk pen and it just brushes off or washes off. So it's not a permanent line. And if you only stitch on it half the time, that's totally okay because you're taking it out anyway. And it's just nice to have the guide when you start out. I'm also doing the bump back feather style, which I rarely do. And so it's something that I'm trying to do a little bit more of just in case there's a need for it. It does give a different look to the feather, and it is more of a custom looking feather, which when I'm doing my wild quilting projects, I don't really put into them the custom feather because my feathers are kind of here, there, and everywhere in different shapes and sizes, and that's what I'm looking for. But I thought I would take an example that I saw in a picture and just try to imitate that a little bit and wrap these feathers around with different curls and see what happened. So this is kind of an experiment for me, and I thought I would videotape it while I was doing it, and if it turned out, I would post it. And so if you're seeing it, then that means I'm reasonably happy with it. You do need to watch when you're doing the bump back feathers that your travel stitching is as close as you can get it to being right on top of the other line that you're stitching on at the hump of the feather. But it's not, if it's not perfect, again, don't stress over it, because in the whole scheme of things, when your quilt is finished, all those little things are not really going to show. The other thing to remember is you wouldn't normally, or I wouldn't normally, be stitching with a bright white shiny thread on a dark blue piece of fabric. That is only for effect, so that not only you can see what is happening, but also so that I can clearly see what is happening when I'm stitching to make sure that I'm getting the effect that I want. So this is kind of a practice piece, sampler, call it what you will. And basically I'm going up one side of this whole feather, even if it involves curves off to the left. I'm making sure that I'm taking care of one whole side, and then I'm going to travel back down the spine all the way to the bottom and do the other side. And you'll notice as we come to intersections, we're coming to one right now, there's a teardrop that needs to go into those intersections so that when you are doing the bump back feather, you've got something to bump it back onto as you go. So now I'll travel back down to the bottom and start the other side and work my way from bottom to top. Again, that's just how I prefer to do it. That doesn't mean that there aren't other ways of doing it. We all find our favorite comfortable way to do feathers, and I always prefer to work from the bottom to the top. So I guess working top to bottom is something else that I want to practice and get more comfortable doing, because sometimes it would save me a lot of time in travel stitching if I was comfortable with going from the top to the bottom. So I'm just going to put on some nice music in the background so you can watch me finish this feather. The video has been sped up in places. Some places it's double speed, some places it's 4 times the speed, just so that it's not so long for you to watch. I am not always stitching in turbo. Just wanted to make sure that that was clear. So I hope this is helpful and I hope you enjoy it.